Let's see here. Set that down to 0. Down to 0. Down to 0. Down to 0. Copy. Yes, indeed. Totally. Yes. Bada boom. Okay. Hi, Ben. Hi, Blaze. Just waiting for everybody to get in. Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The ceremony is about to begin. I'm getting old, so I'm starting to have old man eyebrows. I have to straighten them out because they're getting bushy. How was my Father's Day? My Father's Day sucked. Hello to you too. High five for life. My Father's Day sucked because I've got an injured family member and there's not anything I can currently do for it. So, plus I didn't get nothing for Father's Day. We went to see How to Train Your Dragon. I paid for it for Father's Day. Good movie, though. I mean, it's pretty much the movie you've already seen, but good movie. Eight minutes till the show starts, my good people. I'm not into the 28 series. 8th is, but I'm not. If he goes to see it, he'll probably go see it with friends, not me. Not really anything coming out that I want to see until Superman. Hi, Clean Frame. We'll get going here in a minute. But yeah, it's been hard. Those of you who follow me on Twitter already know about it, but little Alex, our little dog, she typically sleeps with me. We don't crate sleep her. I just, get relaxed and everything, and she hops up, sleeps between my knees. It's been that way since we got her. And, I'll always get up, go to the bathroom before I go to bed. And so she hopped down. I got up, went to go to the bathroom. And she, as I was walking by, she hopped up into the other recliner, 8th's recliner, right behind me and laid down. I went to the bathroom. I came back, and she was not in that recliner. She was back in my recliner, but she wouldn't jump down. She wouldn't move. And I kept telling her, down on the floor so I can sit down. She wouldn't do it. So I went and picked her up and set her on the ground, and she was holding up her left rear foot and wouldn't put any weight on it. And she had done that before, and I had just assumed that she had, accidentally stepped on one of her own toenails or twisted her little ankle or something like that, because she'd be fine in a couple of hours. But this went on for 2 or 3 days, and she kept keeping that leg lifted up. So took her to the vet, and that was, $250 just to have her looked at. And she didn't have a broken leg, no torn muscle or anything like that. Her kneecap has become dislocated. She has a dislocated kneecap that's just floating around in there. And sometimes when that happens, the vet can just straighten the leg out and pop it back into place, and then it's fine. But hers wouldn't stay in place. The vet popped it back in place, and the minute she put weight on it, it went pew, popped right back out of place again. So she's what they call, it's a very common illness with small dogs, and she is what's referred to as a stage 4 or a level 4, meaning that it's not something where every so often you have to pop it back in. It's not going back in and staying in without surgery. And the surgery is $3,500, and I don't have it. So until I get my bonus next year, she's just she's not in any pain whatsoever. I mean, you can manipulate it, and bend it, straighten it, pet her, squeeze on it. No reaction whatsoever. Doesn't hurt her at all. And in some cases, she will put some weight on it, and it hasn't slowed her down at all. She can still run almost at the same speed as she could before, but on 3 legs. But we're trying to keep her from doing that because they say that if you don't get the surgery on that leg, the overcompensation on the other leg will cause the same thing to happen to that leg, and then she won't have any hind legs at all. And we don't want that. So we've been discouraging her from doing all the things that she loves to do, basically. We've had to hide all of her balls because her favorite thing is to play fetch. She will play fetch for hours without stopping. And this was something that our previous routine was something we did. Me and she did this 2 or 3 times a day, where I would get up and take a quick break from work, and we'd play fetch, and I'd throw the ball down the hall, let her go run and grab it, bring it back to me. And now we've hidden all of them because we don't want her running like that. We can't allow her to jump up anymore because jumping down, when she lands all of that weight on that rear leg, it could pop the other kneecap out. And so we're just basically having to really babysit her. We're going to have to start making her sleep in a crate again, like she did when she was a puppy, because we can't trust her, whether she tries sleeping with 8th or she tries sleeping with me. We can't trust her to not try to hop down during the night and potentially pop that other kneecap out. So she has to sleep on the floor. And we can't just put a bed down there because, conversely, we can't trust her to not try to jump up onto one of us while we're sleeping. So I've got to buy a new crate because she hasn't had one in a long time to sleep her in, and we're going to have to wait until next March when I can get my bonus to get this surgery done. She is 4.5, Mike. This particular condition, which is called luxating patella, it doesn't matter what age it is. If you have a small breed dog whose breed is prone to this happening, it doesn't matter how young or old. It can happen when they're a puppy. Doesn't matter. That being said, this is the first Chihuahua I've ever had that suffered from this condition, and I've had multiple Chihuahuas over the course of my 50 years. Yes, she is on a diet. We have put her on a diet to get her down because on top of everything else, she's overweight. She's basically twice as heavy as she should be. When she first hit 12 months old, she was about 9 pounds. Now she's 17.5 pounds. So she's almost twice what she's supposed to be. So we've restricted her diet and trying to find ways to exercise her so she gets exercise without putting any undue strain on that knee. I've even considered buying one of those $200 doggy wheelchairs where her hind legs would basically be up in a harness, and she'd be pulling herself with her front paws with big wheels in the back. I've even considered doing that until March, just to prevent the other kneecap from popping out. But I'm just kind of at a loss of what to do. Anyway, it's 6 o'clock. It's Saturday, June 21st, 2025, and this is the 7th Cast. As always, I'm your venerable host, your friendly neighborhood 7th. 8th is upstairs resting. 8th has had a lot going on lately. Let me see here. I never heard of it before. My family's had a long history with small dogs. Look it up, man. It's called luxating platella. Luxating Plattella. Luxating patella. But 8th has had a busy couple of weeks as well. 8th finally got a job interview, and it's back with Walmart for the time being, and he's waiting to hear the results of that. It's back doing what he was doing when we lived in the other town. And he was accepted to the local college here via student loans, but it's a community college, and so the first degree isn't going to be but like $7,000, and that includes all of his books and stuff. So he's going to get a 2-year degree for somewhere around $7,000 to $8,000, and he doesn't have to start paying it off until he graduates. So makes you wonder, 20 years ago, I went to a DeVry type school, not even an actual, state-funded community college, but a DeVry type thing, and it was $27,000 for the 2-year, and then another $27,000 to finish out with the bachelor's. And he's getting a 2-year for $8,000, including the books. And that's in 2025 money. What's up with that? But anyway, he's going to be majoring in mechanical engineering, along with he'll also earn a robotics certificate. So he'll be certified in robotics. I don't know if it's repair or design or what, but he's going to have a robotics certificate along with his 2-year. And then at the moment, his plan is that once he finishes there, he's going to go to continue at Texas A&M. So it took us a year, but we finally got the ball rolling with him on getting his life set up. So I am happy about that. It's just both of us are kind of upset about little Alex because she's a very, very energetic, playful little dog. And now she just doesn't get to do that much. She can't play with any of her balls because that'll make her run around. I've been looking at little tug-of-war toys where she could be sitting down and we could still play a little tug-of-war, But she still walks around everywhere. We don't pick her up and carry her like a purse. And we can't stop her from running all the time. So occasionally she does break out in a run. Like if somebody rings the doorbell, yip, 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 off she goes. And she sounds like like the tiniest little horse galloping. But it kind of upsets me. It upsets me. Anyway, so we've had some bad news. We've had some good news. Now, where were we at in the realm of 8th's tabletop gaming room? All right, so we're currently at $355. So that's what? I'm horrible at doing math in my head. That means we're still missing $645. $645 to go, and we can get him his table for his gaming room, which he's not going to get to use as much as he thought when we planned it because he's now going to be working part-time and going to school. But he does still plan to keep his at least one of his weekend days free. So it's my understanding that they're going to be doing Warhammer and Call of Cthulhu and Dungeons and Dragons and all that kind of stuff up there once we get the table. 1 day a week. So 645 to go. 3-hour podcast. Extended by an hour. If we get to 50 in donations, extended by another hour. If it's 100, if it's 150, you get a 6-hour show. So that's where we're at. On with the questions. Hey, AKL Max, how's it going? Let's see. Hi, Juggernauts. Those doggy wheelchairs are really popular because some of them have suspension, etc., like a little Cadillac cart. Well, I mean, if she blows out her other knee before March to where it's going to have to be double surgery, then yeah, definitely I'm going to buy one of those. Might buy one of those beforehand just to try to protect her other knee. The main thing I'd be worried about there is causing muscular atrophy in both of her legs. I don't want that either. Thoughts on the disaster that is Mind's Eye? I've watched several videos of it, but for obvious reasons, I haven't purchased it. That being, A, everyone says it sucks, and B, I'm saving for that table. I'm not going out and buying a bunch of video games while all this is going on. We have had one purchase, but that's because I had already paid for it. And that's the collector's edition of Death Stranding 2. 8th pre-ordered that months ago. So that was going to come, that was pre-ordered before we knew about the table, before Alex got hurt. And the thing of it is, I probably would have canceled it, but I pre-order stuff and then I forget that I pre-ordered it. Like, I had that Power Rangers game that I showed you guys a couple of weeks ago. That Power Ranger game, I forgot that I pre-ordered it. I had pre-ordered a Metroidvania that showed up the other day. And I'd forgotten I'd pre-ordered it. It was, what's it called? Chronicles of the Wolf. I pre-ordered that and completely forgot about it. It showed up the other day. It didn't come out of my main account, though. It got charged to a credit card, so at least that didn't come out of my daily money. But let's see here. Well, 7th, I'd usually start with my usual what's good, but it sounds like it's tough right now with that dog. Yeah, she's like we adopted a kid. She's a very affectionate little booger. And right now she's chilling with her dada, 8th. She's chilling with him. Because, he doesn't have, I sleep in a recliner. He doesn't have a traditional bed either. He has an IKEA corner couch that turns into a bed. That way he can double his computer room as both his office and his bedroom by just keeping it as a couch during the day and turning it into a bed when he goes to bed. So it's not very high off of the ground there. So, and there's carpet up there, which softens, gives her a cushion, whereas down here it's all hardwood. So, well, it's imitation hardwood, it's paneling, but still, there's no cushion here, there's no give. Whereas upstairs, she has give because it's carpeted. So the only thing he has to worry about there is making sure that she doesn't get out the door to where she can run down the hall and try to run down the stairs. Because if she tries to go down the stairs on 3 legs, that's going to be a disaster. Anyway, yes, robotics. Devil May Cry 1 was my video game club's game for June, and it kicked my... remember DMC 4 and 5 being way easier. Yeah, the first one is a lot tougher, I think. I think really the hardest one is 3. Clean frame. Devil May Cry 3, in my opinion, is the hardest one of the bunch. Well, yeah, I already answered that question there, Nick. Hey, Fat Joe, how's it going? There's a sequel to what? A sequel to Death Stranding? You didn't know there was a Death Stranding 2? My best friend has a Chiweenie. Surprisingly, it's good with her young. I have never met a Chihuahua personally. I mean, I know there are some out there because I've seen them on the internet, but I've personally never had a Chihuahua that was bad with children. Not a single one, because they were raised as puppies around children. Was there anything you liked in Space Marine 1? I thought the graphics were good and the music was good. Its performance was fairly solid. Thoughts on Yoshi's Story on N64? Never played it. You've been watching me for a long time. You should know I'm not a fan of the N64. So we're inching ever closer to getting that table. 645. We're almost halfway there. We're $145 away from being halfway there. Good work, guys. Good work. And for anyone that asks, oh, hey, why isn't Alex here? It's because I have a bed laid out for her over there where she can, lay down and relax and then get up and walk around if she wants to. But she's also a lap dog. So if I had her in here, she would want to be up in my lap while I'm doing the show. But every now and again, she would want to get down. So I would have to be physically picking her up and placing her on the ground, then picking her back up, putting her here, because we don't want her jumping up and down. So otherwise, I'd bring her in here and let you guys see her. You can't really tell from looking at her that there's anything wrong with her, except for the fact that she won't walk and run on that hind leg. Now, she's not keeping it as elevated as she did before. She was keeping it tucked all the way up like this, and now she walks on it on her tippy toes. She doesn't put all of her weight on it. She puts a little bit of her weight on it. So I don't know. I don't know. Until I have that $3,500 to get her the surgery, all I can do is pray. And I don't really know how high of a concern my Chihuahua is to God. So it's 88 where you're at. Currently it's 92 here at 621 or 612. It's 92 degrees. Got a heat wave in my area. Good thing my pool is operational. I don't have a pool in my backyard, but we do have a community pool up the road around the corner. That being said, I've lost the key to it, so I can't get into it anyway. And I wouldn't go to it if I did have the key, because I'm a fat ass and I don't want to disgust my neighbors with my fatness. Although I have lost 25 pounds over the last 3 weeks. Same, Nicholas. I'm more, ever since Unreal Tournament 2004, I've been more of a co-op guy than a PvP guy. Although I did try out a little bit of PvP with Uncharted when they started doing multiplayer in Uncharted. And I did a little bit of it when I did my review of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 way back in the day. My grandparents got a Papillion last year after their poodle died. Thoughts on Marathon getting delayed indefinitely? Didn't I kind of tell y'all that I had my doubts whether it would ever come out? Is Ride to Hell Retribution really as legendarily bad? Yes, it is. I have it for PS3. I never played it, but I want to. I want to experience the awful. Oh, it's awful. If you have a PC, you can get it dirt cheap on PC. It's just as bad on PC as it is on console, except for it has a slightly better frame rate, of course. There's nothing worse than watching two video game characters pretend to hump with their clothes on. I'm just saying. The voice acting's bad. The script is bad. The animation is bad. The gameplay is bad. There's nothing good about that game. Nothing. That being said, I still don't think it's the worst thing I've ever played, but it's on up there. It's on up there. It's not as bad as that PC game, the Big Rig Truckin' or whatever. It's not as bad as that, but it's bad. You think it's going to be around 100 degrees by August time? We've already had over 100 degrees here in Texas. It'll be over 100 degrees for us come August. Like up in the 115 range, somewhere around in there. I'd like to try Sonic 6 out of morbid curiosity. The only people who like it are those Sonic fans that Blackbuster Critic covered. Yeah, I hated it. I may have it. I think I have it either for 360 or PS3. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and... Well, wait a minute. What am I thinking about? I got Game Eye. I can go look. Let's go find out. Let's find out. My current game count is at 2,532. That's how many physical games we currently have. But I don't think that includes... let me see. Let me look. Yeah, that doesn't include Chronicles of the Wolf. I haven't added that on here. Let me try. Let me go ahead and do that while I'm thinking about it. Refine. Sony PlayStation. You son of a. Sony PlayStation 5. Apply. Chronicles of the... it's not in here yet. It's too new. I'll have to wait for them to add it. Anyway, we were going to check let's see, Xbox 360. Let's see. Apply. Star. No, I don't have it for 360. I have 84 games for Xbox 360. Let's try PlayStation 3. I thought I had it. Maybe I don't. I have 177 games for PlayStation 3, including Ride to Hell Retribution, but no Sonic the Hedgehog. No, I thought I had it, but I don't have it for either system. I must have come to my senses. I know I had it at one point. Just got through watching Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. Did you like it, 7th? I wanted to like it, but I didn't like it. It had really cool effects and a really cool aesthetic and everything. I just didn't think the plot was there. You know, it's a great movie to look at. It's a feast for the eyes, but it's boring. It is a boring movie. And you don't get to know the characters enough to care about them. You know, I was watching all this visual spectacle, right? But I didn't give a damn about any of what I was watching on an emotional level. It was all just, ooh, that was a cool shot. Ooh, that was a cool effect. That was it. I didn't care about anything that was actually going on, but it looked cool. It mainly looked like the cutscenes of a video game tied together and put on the screen. Let's see here. Talking about Louisiana, where you're from. Okay. What is the worst game you've ever played? Well, one of them would definitely be the one we were just talking about. My mind just went blank. Ride to Hell Retribution. That would be one of them. I would say overall, though, the worst game that I've ever played, besides like Big Rig Truckers on PC, would be irritating stick on the PS1. Are you going? No, like I said earlier, I'm not a fan of that series. I don't like fast zombies. 8th, however, does like those films, and so he will probably go see it with his friends. I won't, though. I've seen the first two, so I assume, when it hits streaming, I will eventually watch it. I heard Destiny is getting 2 expansions. Instead, one is coming in July. Second is literally a Star Wars theme coming. Yeah, no one cares about Destiny anymore. I never cared about it to begin with. 7th, what mistake by Nintendo would you fix from the past? No trophies. No trophies. Getting old, lads, getting old. Starting to develop all sorts of little aches and pains. A couple of days ago, I started getting this random stabbing pain right above my left knee. It felt like somebody shoving an ice pick right behind my kneecap. And it did that for about a day, and then I woke up the next day and it wasn't doing it anymore, and it hasn't started doing it. Are you going to play the Gex trilogy? It got a remaster. Don't have any money to buy it. Don't have any money to buy it. And what was the one that, what was the I one that y'all were asking about? What's it called? Something I. Supposedly sci-fi Grand Theft Auto that ended up being garbage. Can't remember what y'all called it now. Don't have the money. I certainly don't have the money to buy it. I mean, there was even another game I did want. I wanted to try that. What's it called? It's a action RPG, Blade of Fire or something like that. Blade of Flame. I wanted to get it and try it out. Can't do it. Don't have $60 because everything is now saving up for her surgery and saving up what y'all donate for 8th's table. So, none of your money that you donate to me is going to go to her surgery. It's going to what I promised it would go to, which is 8th's table. And so that means no buying crappy games just to be able to tell y'all what I think about them, unfortunately. Do you usually choose performance or quality mode? Oh, performance every time. World War Z, didn't like that movie. Thought for sure you were going to say Life of Black Tiger. Watched your video on that. It looked awful. Life of Black Tiger is awful, but it's not as awful as Irritating Stick. I just platinumed Battle Chasers. And it was great other than the RNG trophies, which I despise. Yeah. What'd you give it out of 7? It was a 6 out of 7. Although I never finished it, but that's what I thought of it at the time when I started playing it. 7th, what was the point of Nintendo coming out with a gimmick console like the Wii over coming out with a normal concept like GameCube? Because the GameCube didn't sell worth a crap compared to PS2 and Xbox. So they knew they couldn't play the power game and still be profitable, so they had to come up with a way of putting out a weaker console so it would cost less to produce, but that people would get excited about. Hence, instead of just giving everybody better graphics, we'll change the way you play. Plus, they knew that up until that point, their handheld business was doing better than their console business. So they started the process of slowly getting out of the console business and just doing handheld, but convincing all of the console players out there that their handheld is a console. And all of you fell for it. Except, of course, for those of you who watch me and know better. Feel like Mind's Eye will be an early PS Plus game like Dragon Age Veilguard was. Probably so. How much did you not want to review the Hannah Montana game? Very much not. But that was back when I was actually dumb enough. I actually had a P.O. box, and people could send me things. And so I was like, you want me to review it? Mail it to me. Here's my P.O. box. I no longer have that P.O. box. That P.O. box is in North Carolina. And I haven't gotten a P.O. box here. And I'm not giving y'all my home address. So, there you go. No more of that. No more of that. Plus, people started sending ridiculous stuff for me to review. Like, 15-year-old PC games that I didn't have a PC that would even run them at the time. Stuff like that. And so that's why I had to stop. Because everything people were sending me to review was either stuff that was just as bad as Hannah Montana, or it was stuff that I couldn't even run. Despite me telling people, this is what I can do. No one will download Mind's Eye when it comes to PS Plus. I might download it just to trophy mine the crap out of it. That being said, though, it's rare for me to hop on PS Plus and download something just to trophy mine it, but I might make an exception with that game. Speaking of RNG, what's your unhumble opinion of having to pray to RNGesus in some video games? It's been a while since I've had to deal with that, to be honest with you. And the reason being is because if I start playing a game, the first thing that I look at are the trophies. To see, am I going to make a platinum run on this or am I not? And if I see something about, that involves having to farm for an extremely rare item to, craft this or make that or whatnot, then usually I make up my mind right then that I'm just going to beat this and be done with it. Not going to bother with the plat. Because I don't have the patience or the time for that anymore. I'm having to work on yet another certification right now. This time for this managerial problem-solving stuff. Which, in reality, what it is the scientific method that they taught Gen Xers in middle school. The scientific method, and they've taken it and applied it to business practices and then just given it a meaningless sci-fi name so it sounds like something new, and then they sell it as a class to businesses and corporations, and those businesses and corporations lap it up and tell all their employees, you have to take this. So, I spent some of my Friday working on it, and I spent some of my today working on it, and I will finish it off tomorrow and pass their little 30-question certification test and get on with my day. Because I don't want to have to be working on something like that on my holiday. I have the week of the 4th of July off. It's Texas, so I refuse to light fireworks because it'll set the whole state on fire. That's not going to stop some people that live in my neighborhood from doing it, so I'm still at risk, but at least it won't be my fault. At least it won't be my fault. Don't lie, 7th. You secretly loved Hannah. No, I did not. You may think it's one of my best videos, but I did not enjoy a minute of that. Not a minute of playing it. I had fun making the video around it, but I didn't have fun playing the game to get there. Because my dumb butt not only said I will play it, but I said I would plat it. And so I had to plat Hannah Montana, which took me 5.5 hours of playing that god-awful game. I thought my brain had melted. The developers of Mind's Eye said it's in the same universe as Hitman. It looks more like it's in the same universe as The Last Saints Row, if you smell what the 7th is cooking. Will I be playing Death Stranding 2? I've barely played Death Stranding 1. I've played a little bit. It's kind of boring to me. You're walking around. How am I going to climb this rock? The game. That's just one of those games that, I can understand the artistry of it. But it's a situation where you're either of the mentality that it really appeals to you or you're not. It's a very divisive game. There's no middle ground on it. Like, it was okay. It's like you're either bored out of your mind or it's the most fascinating thing you've ever played. I'm bored out of my mind side. Now, I know that supposedly he has addressed this by adding way more combat and boss fights. So, if 8th confirms that next week, when he's done with it, I will give it a try. I will give it a try. We are by the way, we are 1/2 hour into the show. We have had 0 donations. 0! I found Death Stranding to be boring and nonsense. See, some people love it and adore it. Some people just go, huh? I thought I heard 8th go, He might be listening in. He went, That's one thing about this house. It's not 100% soundproof. It's not like an apartment where the walls are paper thin, but it's not like 100% soundproof from room to room either. Meanwhile, on top of everything else, I'm already going to have to start replacing some of my blacklight LED bulbs because one of them back there and the chandelier there has already blown out. And, haven't even had those a full year yet. You would think LED lights that only get turned on when I'm doing this show would have lasted longer than that, I'll have to find a higher watt or something that's going to last longer than that. Isn't it fun? Because if you buy those ones that you can control with your phone, they don't have a black light option. You can't, zoom it over to black light. It has to be UV all the time. I haven't found one where you can just switch it to UV mode. Isn't it funny how all the frauds who call Sony games movies and walking simulators love Death Stranding and other Kojima game? Ain't that strange? Ain't that strange? What I think Sony ought to be doing right now is making more games like Astrobot. AA games. Games that have a lower budget. Because that game only had like a $75 million budget, something like that. Which compared to The Last of Us or God of War or whatnot is peanuts. Sony could be making games like that to pad things out like they used to do. They used to do AAA and AA. And the AA would fill in the gaps between the AAA releases. That's what they need to get back to. Because some of their AA stuff is as popular, if not more, than some of their AAA stuff. Ratchet and Clank used to be a AA release. I don't know if it still is after Rift Apart, but that used to be a AA series. And they have all this IP that they could put Bend on or Blue Point on that the production cost would be a fraction of what they spend at Santa Monica or Sucker Punch or Naughty Dog or Insomniac. And people would eat that crap up. A new Sly Cooper game, a new Jak and Daxter game, a new Ape Escape. Heaven forbid, Legend of Dragoon 2. If they didn't try to make it into some ultra big budget answer to Final Fantasy Remake and just did it as a traditional 16-bit / 32-bit Japanese RPG, like Octopath Traveler, for example, it would make money. And it wouldn't cost near as much as the other stuff. That's what Sony should be doing. Tasty. Thoughts on the Rambo movies? First one was really good. Second one was campy as hell, but okay. Third one was terrible. And Rambo 4 and 5 were so-so. What IP do you... Well, I just listed them all. AKL Max. Or not all, but a bunch. Is Wolverine ever coming out? That's a good question. I have my doubts right now. Right now, I'm doubting Wolverine almost as much as I'm doubting Marathon. Not as much, but... Because, Insomniac historically have been pretty reliable, but then again, their president, retired. He resigned. Who knows what's going on over there? They were to the point where they were able to put out a new game every year because they had 2 different studios. Now, all of a sudden, that's not happening anymore. What the hell happened? What went wrong? What's going on? We haven't gotten anything from them since Spider-Man 2. So something is obviously going on at Insomniac. The question is, what? I think it's very likely that Sony has already canceled Marathon, and they're just not saying so yet. 7th, the people who did Astrobot needs to make Knack 3. We have Astrobot. We don't need Knack 3. Knack 1 and 2 were trash. Have you watched Predator Killer of Killers? Yes, I did. I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. 7th, I heard the only thing I didn't like about Predator Killer of Killers is it has that stuttery frame rate crap that Across the Spider-Verse popularized. And people say, oh, it's to make it look more like the comic book. No, it's to save money. Because the fewer frames they have to animate, the cheaper it is to render. That's all it is. It's a cost-cutting measure that they've convinced everybody on the planet is an artistic choice. All it does is give me a headache after I've watched it long enough. So I didn't like the frame rate, but I loved the acting, loved the story, loved some of the animation and the action. But the frame rate, I don't know what it is. I can watch regular stop-motion animation, like anything that was done in Go Motion or the old Christmas specials from Rankin Bass. I can watch those and I'm fine. But if I watch Into the Spider-Verse and then its sequel back-to-back, I get a headache. And I started to get a headache. I was starting to get one by the time Killer of Killers ended because that stuttering frame rate does something to my eyes. I don't know. I don't like it. 7th, I heard Wolverine will come out next year in the spring. I would think that we would have seen something by now if that was the case. A reveal trailer. Something. Because that's, a little over 6 months away. I would think that we would have seen at least a gameplay trailer by now if it was coming out next spring. Have you ever heard of a game called Dustborn? Yeah, it's one of those left-leaning woke pieces of crap that nobody bought. Like it hit the digital bargain bin within a day of coming out. Have I played the remake of Lollipop Chainsaw on PS5 or the remaster? No, I have not. I've not played it on PS5. I still have my PS3 copy. I didn't buy it because, I knew it was going to play mostly the same, and the biggest difference between the two is that the music wouldn't be as good because all the licenses for it expired. Are you a fan of the Gravity Rush games? No. I appreciate them for what they are, but I didn't like the gameplay style of it. All it did was give me vertigo, which is weird because I can play Spider-Man and zip around and web swing all over the place, no problem. But I'd play Gravity Rush 2 and be bouncing around in the air with the perspective flopping around all over the place, and I'd get vertigo from watching it. Didn't like them. Will GTA 6 run 60 frames per second on PS5 Pro? I'm kind of doubting it. Not unless it's like optimized all to hell. Big OG, what you think about Papa John's pizza? Papa John's pizza is crap unless you have the garlic dipping sauce. That's the only thing that makes it good. Without the garlic dipping sauce, it's garbage. So that's why on the rare occasion that I've ever ordered Papa John's pizza, I've always asked for multiple cups of the garlic dipping sauce. What's your favorite disaster movie where only the protagonist was right? Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman and Morgan Freeman and Dante's Peak are mine. I don't really watch that many disaster movies. Off the top of my head, I can't think of one. Because I don't watch that many of them. I would say Twister, but Bill Paxton was not the only person that was right in that movie because he had, he had his ex-wife there with him, and she was right about stuff too. So, that one doesn't fit your definition. But if I was to broaden it and just say what's my favorite disaster movie, it'd probably be the original Twister. Preach 7th garlic sauce, the only saving grace. I know. I'm not really supposed to be eating pizza anymore now because of, my body betraying me. I have found that I can eat certain things from Taco Bell without getting sick. I can eat their new little chicken nuggets. Those don't make me sick. And I can eat their new crispy chicken ranch wrap without getting sick. I can eat chicken McNuggets and fries at McDonald's without getting sick. But if I eat one of their hamburgers, I get sick. I can eat a Whopper at Burger King. But if I eat their chicken nuggets with the buffalo dipping sauce, I get sick. And so it's all been a guessing game where I've been having to document what makes me sick and what doesn't make me sick, so I know what I can eat and cannot eat when 8th says, I want to go eat here. I want to have this tonight. Okay, what can I have? The most recent was Panda Express. I learned that I can eat their pepper sirloin steak bowl and fried rice without getting sick. That being said, their pepper sirloin steak bowl does not taste like traditional Chinese pepper steak, so I don't really like it. Thoughts on Battle Royale games like Fortnite and War? I don't play any of them. Don't like them. I tried out Warframe, hated it. 7th, we need to hear about where these PS5 exclusive IP over the PS... Your sentence isn't even a full sentence. We need to hear about where these PS5 exclusive IP over the PS6. That's not even a real sentence. PC Gamer put out a hit piece against the Saber developer CEO of Space Marine 2 for rightfully trashing the Saints Row reboot. Well, who still reads PC Gamer? I never read PC Gamer. Why should anyone care what they think? Print media with gaming died forever ago. Probably the only thing worth reading right now is the revival of Game Informer. And I don't even know if that's any good or not yet because I haven't seen any of the issues to be able to tell. Oh, I did. And here's the real kicker. Okay? This was the perfect end to my horrible Father's Day weekend. Y'all remember a long time ago that I talked about multiple times how when Eighth was little and me and his mom had split up and the mortgage crisis of 2008 had happened and I was out of a job and nobody in IT was hiring in Charlotte because 99% of the IT in Charlotte was focused around the banks. And I needed money for his Christmas. And so I took my one-of-a-kind Robin Medley guitar that I'd had since 1991 when I was still in high school. That was the first thing I'd ever taken out a bank loan to get and paid for with my own money. I'd had it all those years, and I sold it for $600. Came to my senses once I got a job, tried to hunt it down so I could buy it back, couldn't find the person. They had disappeared. Watched for years on used music equipment sites, hoping that he would put it up for sale. It's never appeared. And I would know if it was mine when I saw it. There are things on it that if they took pictures, I would know that's my guitar. And so my mindset had been, well, you know what? I'll just buy another one from Robin. Only to find out at that time that they had gone out of business a couple of years before I sold it. And so, a couple of years ago, after I'd moved here, my buddy Jeff, the guy who helped me do my music intro and what have you, that the one who sent me all that awesome PlayStation stuff a couple of years ago, PS3 Fat and all that kind of thing. He had said that he had acquired the original blueprints to the Robin Medley guitar, and that he had the equipment and everything because he now made his own custom guitars, that he was going to make me one and gift me with it. That didn't happen. It is hard to make time to do stuff for somebody that you haven't seen in 10 years and lives over 1,000 miles away. So I understand. I'm not angry with him. It is what it is. I honestly never did think that it would actually happen. That's why at the time I was like, Robin doesn't exist anymore. My friend Anthony, who runs Lucky Dog Guitars, who's been my friend since I was maybe 9, 10, somewhere around in there. We met at church. We've known each other for years and years and years. He runs Lucky Dog Guitars, and he quoted me $2,500 at the time. This was years ago. It's probably a lot more now. For him to make me a custom Lucky Dog clone of a Robin Medley. He knows Robins because he was the one that introduced me to the brand when I was 17 because he had a Robin. And so I didn't have $2,500, so I spent $1,000 and got the closest thing to a Robin that I could find, which is my red Schecter Banshee. It's not the same. It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't sound the same, but it's close. And so I'd settled for it and thought, this will do until I can pay my buddy Anthony $2,500 for him to make me a Robin guitar. So then, flash forward to this Father's Day weekend. I've discovered at random, Robin guitars are back. You just can't walk into a guitar center and buy one like when I was a teenager. Like when I was a teenager, there was only one music store in all of Chattanooga that carried Robin guitars. And you either had to just settle for whatever they had in stock, or you had to get them to order it for you. And I went in there and they had two guitars. They had a wood grain, just flat finish, so it just looked like it was carved out of a piece of wood. And then they had wood grain with a green, like a almost lollipop green finish on top of it. I bought the green one. I'm not a fan of green, but I would rather have it than the tan, and I didn't want to wait for a custom one to be built. Well, now custom built is all they offer. You can't buy them in stores. You have to go to robinguitars.com and order the Robin Medley, and they start at $3,000. I paid $1,400 for mine in 1991, which is probably $3,000 in 2025 money. So, but I don't have $3,000, and I certainly don't have $3,000 now that $3,500 of my bonus next year is going to have to go to fixing my dog's destroyed knee. So that was just, the perfect little kicker off of my already disastrous Father's Day weekend, is finding out that, once again, after all these years, I can replace the greatest guitar that I've ever had for me. There's some people that say, Robins weren't that good. Well, for me it was. But it's going to be forever before I can afford to do it. And it's $500 more expensive than to have one of the best friends of my life custom make a Robin. And he has all the equipment and the blueprints and everything. He could make one that would look, feel, and play almost exactly like a Robin, but it would have his Lucky Dog logo on the headstock instead of the Robin logo. And it's not going to sound quite the same because my Robin had these dual wound pickups that were made by a company called PJ Marks. And there's never really been another pickup quite like it. And those pickups aren't made anymore. So now Robins come with more traditional, round magnets. So the magnets that were on the PJ Marks, they were lines, and they were interwrapped like this. Whereas now Robins just come with the regular pickups that just have the little circular magnets in them. So it's not going to sound quite the same. These PJ Marks, they almost sounded like active pickups. They weren't, but they almost sounded like them. Which reminds me, I probably need to pop that. There's a 9-volt battery in my Schecter. I probably need to pop that out because it's a year old at this point. I don't want it like draining battery acid out of the guitar. The only thing is that it's a screw-on lid, so it's not like I can just pick it up and pop the battery out. I'm going to have to get a screwdriver and pop that out. I'm glad I thought of that because, that can damage the electronics inside if I let that happen. Anyway, I know y'all don't really care about that stuff, but it's important to me, and it really hurt to see that. I was excited, and then I'm like, it's going to be at least 2 years before I'll have $3,000. It just killed me. I mean, finally found out that Retropalooza is happening this year, but it's not happening until December. And it's happening the week before my December vacation time starts, and I can't adjust it. Once I put it in with the company, it's locked in. So I won't have the time off, and I won't have the money to do the whole weekend. All I'm going to be able to do is me and Brian are going to, Brian's going to drive down, pick me up here, and we're going to go up that Saturday morning for the day. 8th may or may not be going because 8th may be working, 8th may be with his friends, don't know. But my buddy Brian and Brian lives about 30 minutes from here. He's going to drive over, pick me up. We're going to head up there and do our thing. I get to hang out with my friends a little bit, do a little bit of buying, not much because I won't have much money, and then come back home. So no staying in the hotel, no getting to hang out with everybody and go to the after parties and all that. None of that. Just one day. It's turning out to be just a great, great year so far. But hey, at least my neighborhood didn't get hit by a tornado this year. I can be thankful for that. I can be thankful for that. Now, let me catch up with the chat. Would you be interested in a Predator movie that takes place on their home world? Well, sure. I mean, part of this new one takes place on their home world. The last part of it, anyway. Is that the new Internet Protocol IP over PS6? I don't know, man. I don't know. 7th, I think the PS6 is too soon. We do not have enough Sony IP. Well, I kind of agree with you. You know, they haven't even put out a decent library for the PS5 yet. They're already talking about a PS6. Insider Gaming is a site I like because they actually do gaming news and not be activists like Kotaku. What's the highest amount of money you'd be willing to pay to get that guitar back? What I originally paid for it, $1,400. Thoughts on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies from Michael Bay? Didn't really care for them. They were so-so. Are you going to catch up with Boogie? I imagine I will be if he's there. Nate Lewis. Just wanted to stop by and say hello. About to watch AEW at 8 o'clock. How long is your stream? I'll come back if you're still streaming. That depends on donations. At standard, my stream is 3 hours long. That can be extended depending on how many donations I receive. We're about to finish the first hour, so there's 2 hours left. That being said, there have been no donations so far today. Once we hit $50 in donations, it'll be extended by another hour. Are you going to buy the rumored PS6 handheld? I don't really have a reason for it. I don't go anywhere. I'm a hermit. I don't go on vacations anymore. Now, closest thing to a vacation I do is Retropalooza. And I bring the Retroid Pocket 3 with me that has, every, console video game from the 8 and 16-bit generation on it, along with every arcade game. And that does me just fine. I don't need to have my PS5 in my pocket. I really don't. And I took it with me to the last Retropalooza I attended, and it made me quite popular with Billy's son. Billy's, for some reason, I never can remember what Billy's son's name is, but cute little kid. And I was sitting there fiddling with it, and he came walking over. His mom, Regina, had referred to me as Mr. Seventh. And so he comes walking over to me, and he's like, "Could I play a game, Mr. Seventh?" I was like, "Sure." And I set him up to play Mario or whatever it was. And, he sat there and played it and had himself a grand little time. And so I became very popular with Billy's son because I had, hundreds of games in my pocket. So that one suits me fine. I don't really need anything else. I can even earn achievements on it because it has retro achievements on it. Were you friends with Total Biscuit? I was an acquaintance of Total Biscuit via Twitter, but I was not friends with Total Biscuit. We had chatted a little bit back and forth on Twitter, nothing major. 7th, do you miss Blockbuster Video? No, I miss the old mom and pop stores. I used to work for Blockbuster. I did it as a second job to make a little extra money for a vacation that I wanted to take. So I worked there for 6 months, made the money I needed, and quit. So, I know all the ins and outs of working at Blockbuster, but I never was much of a fan of being a customer of Blockbuster. I much preferred the mom and pop stores because they would order the more obscure crap that Blockbuster wouldn't get in. Thoughts on Rich deleting his Twitter? I don't know if he went over to Blue Sky because he's lame. He thinks that's actually going to accomplish something. By the way, 2 hours remaining. 2 hours. There have been 0. Let me say that again. 0 donations. Because y'all don't love me no more. Only Max88 loves me. And he doesn't show up every week. I wouldn't expect him to. Don't everybody ask me questions all at once. Y'all like my hat, by the way? Raised on hose water and neglect. And that's true. That's true. We'd be running around out in the summer heat all day long, bike riding and doing everything else, riding our bikes all the way the 5 or 6 miles down the road to get to the Harrison Bay State swimming pool and riding them all the way back, messing around in the caves under Cave Hill behind the Golden Gallon, getting into all this trouble and only coming back to the house long enough to turn on the back hose and drink some water out of the hose and then get right back at it. Go out in the woods, piss on a tree, and keep going. That was my childhood. Can I play the Freebird solo? No. I'm a punk rock guitarist, okay? I'm a punk rock guitarist. I was never a shredder because I was headed in that direction. I was getting good. You know, I could still do some of this stuff, you know. But then in 1995, and y'all know this story, in 1995, I just bought a 1995 Ford Probe Sports Edition, and I had gone to the movie gallery to rent some movies. Didn't find anything that I wanted. This was like right before my 21st birthday. Decided I'll head up to the Blockbuster and see what they've got. So I pulled out of the Food Max into the turn lane to merge with traffic going that way, and I stopped to wait for clearance. And a lady pulled out of the Ace Hardware up the road going the opposite direction in a Ford F-150, pulled into the same turn lane, wanting to merge with traffic going this way, had her head turned looking for an opening, drove right over me. And it sent her flying over me like a launch ramp. Her F-150 landed on its side, and my car got utterly destroyed, and it knocked me unconscious for a little bit. And then I managed to pry myself out of the car. By the time I came to, you know, there was already a crowd of people around. An ambulance had already pulled up. There was a cop car, and the ambulance pulled up, and the EMTs were like, "Where's the body? Where's the body?" And the cop said, "He's standing over there." But it ruined my left arm. It did some damage to the musculature all the way up in here. All of this was black. It was all black because there was so much damage to the tissue in there that it bled under the skin, and all this was black. And I had to go to physical therapy. I almost got addicted to Darvocet because of it, because of the pain. And that, I started playing guitar when I was 17. I was almost 21 when that happened, and my ability to solo was just never quite the same after that. It caused my hand to get this hand to be just slightly out of sync with my picking hand, to where I couldn't do speed runs of like no mixolydian, no just regular blues scales, pentatonic scales, none of that. I could do it hammering on, doing it as a hammer-on thing, but double picking, this hand was always out of sync by just like a fraction of a second for this one, to where it wouldn't sound right. And so that's why, when you've heard me do like a joke song, like when I did a parody, a punk version of Billy's stupid Christmas Robotica song, there's no real solid solo on it. It's just a little melodic thing that I did. because that's pretty much all I can do aside from some finger tapping. I can do that, but I can't do speed runs. I can't do arpeggios, none of that anymore, because my fingers, they just won't work right. And even it's getting even worse now, because I was telling you guys about how occasionally, my thumb will do this deal, or my index finger will do this deal. And for me to do, like, I can't even do like simple stuff like this without that causing sharp pain going down in here. And it's the same thing with this hand. Like, I can do the Vulcan salute. This hurts like hell. This is extremely painful for me now. It shoots right down into here. From the tip of my index finger right down into here. And when I do it, the tip of my thumb goes numb. So all of this is agony right now, and the tip of my thumb just went numb just to do the Vulcan salute. That's the kind of damage that I have. And it's worse with this hand because of the wreck. This hand has it because of carpal tunnel. And I know one of y'all was like, that's one of the early signs of Parkinson's disease. Look, man. If you're getting Parkinson's disease, you can't do this consistently for 10 seconds. That's one of the first signs of Parkinson's disease, is that you don't have the ability to keep doing this. It's called the OK test or something like that, the finger touch test. I can do this all day long. It's not that. It's nerve damage from all of the that I've been doing for 25 plus years. It's ruined my arms. You've referred to it yourself, Billy, as stupid, so don't come in here and act like I'm being mean or nothing. Plus, my version was superior, and you know it. Do you miss Funco Land? They didn't have Funco Land where I grew up. Funco Land didn't exist where I grew up. Whatever happened to Mrs. 7th? She didn't want to move to Texas because that would mean being too far away from her parents and her bestie. So she decided to stay in the Carolinas. She would not come with me to Texas, and that ended that. That's the second Mrs. 7th. The first Mrs. 7th, I divorced her ass and sent her packing. Did ECW do more harm than good for the pro wrestling industry? I believe so. That must have sucked being in a car crash. It's one of my biggest fears. Well, it wasn't fun, and it's not the only car crash I've been in. I've been in more than one. But it was the worst one I've ever been in. It was the only one that I ever got injured in. Officially, I've been in 3 car accidents. That one was my first one and nearly killed me. Should have killed me. The second one was somebody slammed on their brakes on me coming off of the freeway onto an off-ramp, and I had to swerve to try to avoid them, and I clipped their rear end with my front bumper. So I didn't get injured, but it damaged the car. And then the third one, I was parked at a traffic light in my Dodge Charger here in Texas, and some idiot bounced off of a lady's pickup truck and trying to race into the turn lane. And she was turning into the turn lane. He was going over 60, trying to get in the same turn lane. He bounced off of her and slammed into my ass and destroyed the whole rear end of the car, totaled the car, and that's how I ended up with the Dodge Challenger that I have now with the insurance money. Well, the insurance money paid off the car and then gave me enough for a down payment on the Challenger, which is now paid off. The Tornado Chasers. Look at Billy acting like he's offended. He's called the song stupid himself multiple times. Look at him. Look at him. Just look at him. Getting all offended. Loves to bust the balls of his friends all the time. But if I say something about his song, even though he knows my version is better anyway. He knows it. He knows it. And he can go to bed at night confident in the fact that I made a better version of that song than he did. And he wrote that song. With my ruined arms, with my ruined fat arms. Yeah. You just watch, son. You just watch. I might have $2 with your name on it for your next stream. I can find lots more great games to make you play, sir. You just watch. Watch your P's and Q's, Billy. Watch them P's and Q's. Thoughts on Andre the Giant documentary from HBO? I don't know if I've watched that one. I have watched a documentary on Andre the Giant, but I don't know if I watched the HBO one or not. What do you think of the King of the Hill coming back? Don't give a crap. Didn't like it when it was didn't like the original. Didn't do anything for me. For one thing, King of the Hill, Mike Judge's voice for King of the Hill was just Mr. Andreessen from Beavis and Butthead. Oh, I caught them boys a whacking in my tool shed. Yeah, it's the same voice that I can't do, but it's the same voice. So, every time he started to talk, all I thought of was, Mr. Andreessen. What the hell? Yeah. From Chris G. I think Billy should make a donation to you. It would make him feel... He's probably gone already. He's probably gone. He'll show up. He'll watch me long enough to make like one comment and then disappear. Because he's not as good of a friend to me as I am to him, see? I'll watch his whole show. He won't watch my whole show. Meanwhile, I'm still upset with him that he didn't submit my stellar performance, my breakthrough performance in Adventures in Game Chasing for an Oscar. He didn't submit me for that. I was robbed. Robbed. You son of a bitch. Too tall. I might just punch you in your face if I could reach it. Get a Streamlabs. I don't know how to do Super Chat. Streamlabs doesn't work for me because PayPal just uniformly decided to cancel my account for no reason. And the alternative that Streamlabs offers to PayPal, it disables itself if you go more than a week without someone donating to it. So every time I was turning around, it was telling me that I needed to submit it for approval again. And so I gave up and just went back to straight Super Chat. So I guess I'm just not going to get any donations from Billy. Who doesn't need to be sending me donations no-how, because he's still got to pay off the movie. I see how you are, sir. I see how you are. I put forth the effort for you. I learned how to do Super Chats for you. Won't learn how to do Super Chats for me. But that's all right. That's all right. I see how your game is played. I tell you. You give and you give and you give. Just fair weather friending the out of me. I tell you. Guys, did I tell you about the time that I was such a thoughtful friend to Billy that I tracked down and spent over $100 to get him a talking gizmo Furby? a gremlin's Furby that talked and said little phrases, and you could develop a little personality with it and all this stuff. And I presented it to him as a gift. And he looked at it for 2 seconds, and then he stuck it down in a box and never put it on display. I have a theory that he hated it so much that he turned right around and sold it on eBay for his movie. But just won't tell me that he did that. But that's all right. Because I got Melvor on the case. And he's going to sneak around and find out what Billy really did with that Furby. And he's going to come back and let me know. And then I'll know the truth. The truth, sir. That's why I just started donating money instead of buying gifts. Because when I'd buy them gifts, it would just get dropped in a box and then nothing would ever be said about it again. It wouldn't show up on display. And half the time, they wouldn't even remember who it was that gave it to them. Like, I bought Jay movies, I bought Jay games, and he would claim, oh, I still haven't gotten out of Billy's garage. I gave Wood when he was still in Texas. I gave Wood my over $100 in value Cannon Spike Dreamcast. He had never heard of it. When it's one of the rarest games on Dreamcast. He had never heard of it. And within 2 days, when they filmed their little video in Billy's front yard to show all the stuff they'd gotten at Retropalooza, he still didn't know what it was, and he'd already forgotten who had given it to him. Now he don't even talk to me, because now, I'm too conservative for him. That's, I'm too Texan when I'm not even from Texas. I tell you. You try to be a friend. Can only make it up to Retropalooza for 1 day this year. 1 day. But I guarantee you when I get there, I will spend more time helping them out, because that's who I am, than I will be actually buying stuff. Because if I could, I would be there first thing Friday morning, unloading that truck, putting up tables, setting up the game consoles, all that crap. As much as my destroyed body would allow, that's what I do. That's why I told them I will buy my passes this year, because I'm not going to have the time to be there to help with setup or breakdown. And it ain't right for me to get a free pass if I'm not earning a free pass. So I will buy my passes. But I can't. The Texan said, I'm a Tennessean that lives in Texas. The volunteer state, home of Davy Crockett. So I was born where Davy Crockett was from, and now I live where he died. Where's that Gizmo Furby? Where's it at, Billy? Where's it at? I thought that was quite a thoughtful gift, considering you loved collecting Gremlin stuff. Where's it at? It's not on your Gremlin shelf. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? How about those Munster action figures I got you? Where are those at? Where'd those go? I know where everything y'all have ever given me is. Oh. I'm just better at friending. That's all there is to it. Because I care too much. That's all right, son. That's all right. When you stream again, Enjoy that Sword of Sodan, son. Enjoy it. I'm too crippled to fight Billy in a steel cage match. I'm too old and I'm too crippled. Plus, I'd have to have a stepladder. He's like 7 foot tall. I don't have a gremlin shelf anymore. I could see gremlins behind you the other day. What are you talking about? It was like right to the left of your fireplace. There was like a whole bunch of gremlins, like right across like that. And you didn't put it on display when you did have a dedicated gremlin shelf. Now, did you? No, you didn't. No, you didn't. It was never seen from again. Because he didn't like it, and he just doesn't want to tell me that he didn't like it. But that's all right. That's all right. I'll get over it someday. Maybe. Anyway, we are $645 short of getting 8th his tabletop gaming table. We are at $355 out of the 1,000 it costs. So we've had 0 donations, everybody. We are $50 short of extending the show by 1 hour. Meanwhile, I will not be taking donations for my little dog's $3,500 knee surgery. I will take care of that on my own. I'm not going to ask you guys to help with that. I am not going to start a GoFundMe for that. You know, GoFundMe is for little kids that have cancer or, dogs whose lives are in actual danger, which her life is not in danger. She just can't play fetch anymore. I will just pay for that next year with my bonus that otherwise would be going towards finally replacing my beloved 1991 Robin Medley guitar. And in the meantime, what y'all can help with is the remaining $645 needed for 8th's tabletop gaming table for his tabletop gaming room upstairs, which is what is keeping us from doing this year's game room tour, because I'm not doing it until that room is ready to be shown. So that's where we're at. And trolling and fun aside, Billy doesn't need to be donating to me because Billy is still in debt for all the money they spent on making that movie that they were so gracious as to allow me to be in for a few seconds. I would have liked to have played a bigger part, but I work a full-time job and I couldn't get the time off to go up there to be able to film anything. So Billy actually came up with a way for me to film a scene without me having to go up there, and I could film it at my own house. He didn't have to do that, but he did. Just so I could be in it for a few seconds. And have my name in the credits. Well, not my real name, my 7th name. But, he's got a lot still left to pay for, so he don't need to be donating to me. Meanwhile, I'll show up on his stream and torture him with paying to make him play crappy games a couple of bucks at a time. Probably not this week, though, because, I'm between checks. When I get the July 15th check, then I'll have a couple of bucks that I can spend to make him play crappy games. But I already spent what I was going to have for this month on him, because on top of that, there's been additional bills that I have had to undertake since I moved here. And, I'll be in a better position once I get my next pay increase, because my pay increase after tax is usually unless I get a promotion, usually amounts to like, 200 to 250 extra a month every year. So, I'll be in a better position then to have a little bit more fun money. And of course, 8th had a job interview, and so he should be able to find out in a day or two if he's got that job. And then, he'll be able to pay for his own stuff, and I can stop buying all of his stuff for him. Except for the table, because I already agreed to do the table. I even moved an hour closer to where they live, so it would make it easier for them to come hang out. You know what? They don't want to come hang out. They don't want to come hang out. Nope. Nope. I'm not cool enough. I'm not Texasy enough. I don't have enough subs and views. They won't come see me no more. Gave them $600 worth of free games, at least. Won't come see me no more. Nope. 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 Brian has an excuse. Brian works for the railroad. I shouldn't have said that. Brian works at a job that has him out of town a lot. And so he has an excuse to not be able to come over that often. He works very hard. He's one of the hardest working people I know. And on the occasions that he would be able to go the whole Retropalooza trip with me, Jay loved him. Jay loved him to death because he could like unload that whole truck on his own like that, practically, if there weren't other people there, because he was just in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. And so, Jay loved him. And it's like, and Jay would say, "You going to bring your friend with you next time?" But I haven't always had Brian with me because Brian can't always get the time off to go. So, but he is a hard worker. There is so much at this house that we would still be trying to set all this stuff up if Brian hadn't been there for us. He helped us move from Leander to here. In fact, he drove the moving truck for us. I rented the truck and he drove it. And he basically spent that whole day helping us get set up here, despite the fact that a tornado had just hit the area 2 days before. And, there was no power in the house. There was no air conditioning in the house. And, he helped out a lot. A couple of 8th's friends from high school came and helped out a lot. But Brian is a workhorse, man. He is a workhorse. Every time he comes over here, is there anything you need done? He's a awesome dude. But he's often out of town at work, working. And so doesn't get to come over and hang out as much as I would like. And, when you work from home and you're in your office all the time, you don't really have much of an opportunity to make new friends. And so that's been pretty much the case for me since I moved here. The only friends that I have in Texas is Brian and Billy and Jay and all the people that surround Billy and Jay, whom I don't really get to see, but maybe at most a couple of times a year when Retropalooza happens. And I haven't been able to go because I haven't had the money, because of all the crap that's happened since I moved here. There's been so many additional costs since I moved here. So many things I've had to replace. So many things that I've had to get fixed. And so, I haven't really I've gotten to see Billy one additional time, and that's when he was down in San Antonio and he stopped on his way back home because I'd found him these Munster figures, and I didn't want him to have to wait on Retropalooza because I didn't even know if I was going to be able to go. Spoiler alert, I didn't get to go. And so he stopped by to pick those up, and he hung out for an hour or two playing the pinball machine because I'd installed a Gremlins table and a Munsters table, and he wanted to try them out. That was the last time I saw him. I haven't seen him since. I haven't seen Jay in almost 2 years because I haven't had the money and time to make it because, the landlord over the house I was living in Cedar Park decided to sell it out from under me, and I had to buy a house. So I didn't have the money or the time off to go to Retropalooza because I had to take so much time off to move. And I'm still recovering from all that a year later. I didn't get to go to Houston because of it. Didn't have the money. And now, because my company they give you a deadline of time of when you can submit for your time off. I get a month of time off every year because I've been with them for so long. But I have to request it well in advance. And at the time, historically, the second Retropalooza of the year had always been in September or October, mostly October. And so I booked the last week of October thinking that would cover it. And then I booked for, the Christmas week with New Year's, which I always take. Then come to find out the only time that Jay could get for Retropalooza at this new venue was like the weekend of December 14th, which I don't have. I have the weekend after that. And so the only thing that I can do and afford to do is go up there for one day. And if they need any help from me on that day that I'm there, I will certainly give it. But even if it's just, watching their table so they can go get something to eat, or watching their table so they can go to the bathroom or do their show or whatever. That's usually, I either walk around with a Retropalooza security shirt on, looking like, the fattest, laziest security guard you ever saw, or I'm guarding their merchandise while they're away. Those are the two things that I help with because, if I was able to be there Friday morning, I'd be helping to unload the truck, but I can't be there. So those are the only two things I can help with. But I will certainly do that as soon as I get there. I'll try to get there as early in the morning as I can because I'm only 2 hours away now. I'm only 2 hours away. I would drive up there to hang out with them. But I'm not going to just drive up there and show up on the front porch, I'm not that kind of a-hole. Not that kind of a-hole. I'd like to hang out, and 2-hour drive ain't nothing to me. I used to take 4 and 5 hour road trips like it was nothing. Like they do. I used to be like they do. Going, driving all over the place looking for deals. That used to be me. I used to love going on road trips. 2 hours drive is nothing. I can put on my Spotify playlist, and 2 hours will feel like 5 minutes. Meanwhile, it'd probably not be a good idea for them to try to film an episode of Game Chasing with me from their perspective because, I'm not crippled fully. I can walk briskly for, 15, 20 minutes without having any problems, but then I'll start to get a horrible pain in my lower back, and I have to sit down and let it realign for about 5 minutes, and then I can stand up and go for another 20. But, the logistics of that would make filming an episode of walking around in flea markets, especially in the Texas heat, it would slow them down. So I get that. I get that. Personally, I think Billy probably is afraid of me having a heart attack while going to a flea market more than anything else. Even though I'm only 50 years old, I'm only 5 years older than he is. But he thinks I'm a heart attack waiting to happen. See. Don't worry, Billy. I'm not going to die of a heart attack. I'll probably die of a stroke or something like that, but not a heart attack. No. Now, strokes aren't they don't run in the family. But what does run in the family is cancer. All sorts of cancer. So it's probably cancer that'll take me out at some point. Some kind of cancer. I'm sure that's what it'll eventually. My grandfather died of leukemia in his 60s, brought on by the work that he did in what was it, Blue Ridge, for the Manhattan Project. His son, my uncle on my mom's side, he died of cancer that came from being a fireman for 25 years and breathing in all those burning chemicals and stuff into his lungs. It was a very rare form of lymphoma, and it was very aggressive, and they tried everything, didn't do any good, died in his 60s. My dad died of undiagnosed heart failure. He should have died of cancer because he smoked 2 packs a day from the time he was 13 years old. He died when he was 61. So, the only male in my family tree that didn't, there's 2 of them that didn't die in their 60s. My dad's older brother, half-brother, who, same mother, different father, he died in his late 70s. And then my dad's great-grandfather lived to be 96. But I bear no resemblance to that man whatsoever. That man was thin and almost 7 feet tall, like Billy. And he smoked cigars and drank whiskey every day of his life. 96 years old. I have quit smoking of any type. I don't drink alcohol. I'll be lucky to make it past my 60s. Because statistically speaking, with my family tree, it's not likely. It's not likely. I would love to make it to, 75, 80. I just don't see it in the cards. I don't think I'm going to make it that far. And people tell me, well, if you don't have a positive attitude, it ain't going to happen. I don't have a negative attitude. I'm just a realist. I go by the statistics. The statistics say I won't make it past 65, which is 15 years from now. Anyway, I probably bored Billy away from the chat, so that's probably what I did. And he knows that I was just joking with him and busting his balls, so he's not offended, trust me. He's not someone who's easily offended. He's kind of like me in that regard. Only, thinner and taller and better looking. And ended up with a wife that doesn't suck. In a bad way, anyway. Like mine. I don't know if I told you all this, but I recently found out that my ex-wife she has a terminal disease, and they're currently fighting it. She ended up being bad enough that they've moved her to a special treatment facility in a totally different state to better treat her condition. So, yeah. I'm not... This makes me sound like such a terrible person, but I'm not actually when I found out about it, my reaction was no. And that probably means I'm a terrible person, but it's hard for me to get over the karma that she earned from that whole situation. You know, it wasn't the usual things that you hear about. It was just she had things in her history that, along with some medical situations, that made her to where she could change on a dime, almost bipolar. She seemed like she was bipolar, and I could do something one day, not a deal at all. The next day, it would drive her insane. It was hard to manage debt and get out of debt with her, because she would spend my money as soon as it showed up in the bank. She had no interests or no hobbies, but she was so codependent that she didn't want me to have any hobbies that were just my own. If it was something that she wasn't interested in, she just didn't want me doing it, period. Even so much as reading a book. And so it would always turn into a fight, because I'm a very independent person, and I don't let anybody, aside from my manager or boss, tell me what to do, including her. And so it would turn into a big argument. And it was like that for 8 years. And finally, at one point in her life, she lived in near poverty. And so she had a severe phobia of not having money, and of being, homeless or what have you. And the mortgage crisis of 2008 hit, and I got laid off at the brokerage firm that I was working at the time. And she snapped. And she stole money from my mother at that time, by going into her bank and forging a check as her. Wiped her account clean. And when the bank called and alerted my mom at that time, my mom called me and told me what the bank had just told her. And so I instantly knew she's getting ready to run. So I rushed over to the school, and I picked up 8th. And on my way, I was driving back down the road with him, and I saw her coming up the other way. So I got to him just in time. And I just made myself and him scarce for a couple of days, and just hid out with him in various places, because I had enough money that I could do that. And I wasn't out of work that long. It was only like a few weeks. I had 2 months of severance, and I had a new job well before that. But that didn't make a difference to her. And some other various things went on. And by that following January, we were just done. And, I packed her stuff and called her a cab. And as soon as I had the money to divorce her, I filed for divorce. She didn't fight for custody or nothing. It cost me $1,200. It was an uncontested divorce, and I had full custody of 8th. I still allowed her to take him a couple of weekends a month, and up until the point where he reached the age of around 13 or 14, and he decided he didn't want to see her anymore. And so I told him, if you don't want to go over there, you don't have to go. And so he stopped going there, and then 2 years later, we moved to Texas. At the time, she had already moved to Louisiana anyway, so it didn't make a difference. And then she ended up moving back to North Carolina from Louisiana. She eventually remarried and had 3 more kids Eighth has three step siblings that he never talks to or sees. And now she's, fighting for her life. So. Is what it is. Would you ever date again? Not now. The second Mrs. Seventh, who wouldn't come to Texas with me, I decided after her, no more serious relationships. Friends with benefits, fine, but no more serious relationships. I don't have it in me anymore. I don't have it in me anymore. I don't have the trust for it, and I don't have the patience. Because the minute one of them tries to exert any kind of control over how I live my life, what I spend my time on, what I spend my money on, the light switch goes off and I tell them to get out. I am ruined for long-term relationships. I don't have the patience and I don't have the trust. And I am vehemently against the very notion of anyone telling me what to spend my time on or telling me what to spend my money on. Never again. And I hate it for her kids. I feel bad for her kids that, if she doesn't pull through with this, they're going to lose their mom. I hate that for them. But no matter what I do, I can't bring myself to feel any sympathy for her. And I've tried. I just can't do it. I can't do it. And I know that makes me a bad person. And I know that that God expects me to forgive her and to have that kind of compassion. And he's just going to have to forgive me because I can't do it. I can't do it. It's not worth it for me, Ace of Horns, but that's because I married the wrong person. I didn't take my time. I should have spent more time dating her before I popped the question to get to know her ins and outs more and understand more of who she was as a person before I took that step. Yeah, half siblings. That's what I meant, half siblings. So, it's still worth it for people that take the time to make sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you have found the right person. I did not do that. And I don't regret it because, eighth might not have happened at all, or eighth might have ended up being a different person entirely than he is now. Although he's basically a clone of me, so in a lot of ways, although, personality-wise there's some differences, but I think he still would have ended up being more or less the same person either way. But still, everything that is awesome about him came from the two of us. Mostly me, but the two of us. And so I don't have any regrets there, but yeah, I married the wrong woman. It's just all there is to it. Is that game room tour coming soon? The game room tour isn't coming until 8th's tabletop gaming table that we're taking donations for happens. And we are still $645 short, and there have been 0 donations tonight. We are still $50 away from extending the show by 1 hour. So you will get your game room tour as soon as that table is delivered and installed. Then you will get the game room tour. Or as I should say, the game house tour. Because it will be a tour of this room, and it'll be a tour of 4 rooms upstairs. So there's actually 5 rooms. This room down here, 8th's PC room, which is also his bedroom, 8th's tabletop gaming room, which is the center room, and then the last room, which the current plans for it is to be his workshop for building PCs and painting his minifigures for his tabletop gaming stuff. And finally, his game room, which is in the loft upstairs. So 5 rooms to tour. And when we eventually get the garage where we want it, it'll be 6 rooms, because eventually in the garage we want to have an air hockey / billiards combo table that's about $1,800, and we want skee ball and basketball and a couple of more arcade machines in there, so that we can make use of the wet bar that came with the house. There's a full wet bar in the garage that the former owner installed there. And so we're just going to... Nobody in Texas uses their garage for their cars. No one in this neighborhood does it except us. And we only put the cars in there when we hear that there's going to be hail. Otherwise, the cars stay out in the driveway. Everyone else in Texas loads their garage from floor to ceiling with stuff. I have yet to see a Texas garage that doesn't look like an episode of Hoarders, because they've packed it with all the stuff that they don't have room in the actual house for. So we're just going to, since it's already got a bar in there, we're just going to turn it into another fun room when we have the money to do it. Billy doesn't know how to do super chats. Please. Doing super chats is easier than Streamlabs. That's why everyone on here was always complaining about Streamlabs, because they preferred super chats, because it's easier to do. I don't know how to do super chats. You just click it and then type in your credit card number. What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? Ay, caramba. The only advantage I would have in a fight against Billy is if I punch straight out, it's going to hit him right in the balls. I swear, it's like standing next to Lurch. He's way on up there. I never can tell what mood he's in, because the clouds obscure my view. Where's the link to that donation website? It's not a link. You just click down at the bottom of this chat. You click the gray button with the $sign on it. It's called Super Chat. A little gray button down below the chat. You just click on that. Oh, man. My neck is popping, baby. I could turn my neck like this, and it sounds like Bruce Lee flexing his knuckles. It's like... crack, 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 crack. Oh. That's the one where YouTube takes... They don't take... Well, they take... I don't actually know what it is now. I was told it was 30%. I don't know if that's true or not. But I can't do the Streamlabs one anymore because PayPal killed my PayPal account for no reason and told me that I can never have another one. And I didn't do anything. I wasn't using it for anything nefarious. The only reason I had a PayPal account was so that the money that y'all donated to me could be transferred to my bank account. That's all it was for. And unfortunately, Streamlabs, the only options you can use on Streamlabs is either PayPal or this other thing that they have. And that other thing that they have disables itself if you go more than a week without a donation. And since I only, at best, stream once a week, I was having to go through the pain-in-the-ass process of reactivating it and being re-reviewed every time someone didn't donate during the week. And so I've just gone back to Super Chats because it's easier on everybody. I can't use Cash App. I can't use Venmo. None of that stuff. Streamlabs doesn't support any of that. Do y'all have a Checkers? What, the burger place? No, there's no Checkers around here. Don't have Steak and Shake neither. Closest thing that we've got is Freddy's. And Freddy's is overpriced. Good custard, though. Instead of ice cream, they have custard, and it's really good. But, of course, I'm diabetic, and I can't eat it, so. I like Checkers, but they don't have Checkers here. Don't have Crystal Burgers either. I would love to have a sack full of Crystals right now. I'm addicted to Crystals. But unfortunately, there's maybe 20 Crystals in Texas now. Or there's going to be. They just built one out in Kyle, Texas, I think, which is like 3 hours from me. So, as much as I love Crystals, I'm not going to drive 3 hours to get some. I'm just not. Yeah, I don't want to give out my Venmo Cash App ID because then y'all would have my primary email address. So I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to create a dummy email address just for people to use that. So, I'm fine with y'all just using the Super Chat. Like I said, that's the easiest method for everybody. Have I ever ate Jack in the Box? Oh, multiple times. In fact, there's a Jack in the Box down the street from me. I'm not that big of a fan of Jack in the Box because anytime you go to a restaurant that has a menu that big, you're sacrificing quality somewhere. And I personally think that their tacos and their egg rolls are garbage. Their burgers are okay. Their fries are okay. But some of the other stuff they got on that menu, yeah, Billy hasn't responded in a while because he's gone. He's gone. He'll stick around long enough to answer a couple of questions and troll me a little bit and let me troll him, and then gone. At least my little small town got a Whataburger. That's good. Whataburger is probably my favorite burger joint right now of what I have access to. Have you been to Dairy Queen or Sonic? Well, yes, of course I've been to Dairy Queen and Sonic. Which is better? Sonic. Dairy Queen, the only reason I would go there is for the ice cream. I certainly wouldn't go there for a burger. If I only had Dairy Queen or Sonic to choose from, absolutely Sonic would be the way to go. Because, I'm not supposed to be eating ice cream anyway. And Sonic, if I'm going to drink a sugary drink, it's not going to be a milkshake. I will get a blue coconut slush at Sonic. Of course, it turns your poop green, but, thoughts on the death of Sabu. Personally, I don't think that last match should have happened. Probably not either, but then again, I'm not the right guy to ask. I was never a fan of Sabu. I was never a fan of ECW. I'm not saying that he was a bad wrestler or anything. Just wasn't my thing. Yeah, Dairy Queen burgers are pretty bad. They're pretty bad. Pretty bad. Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. Where the questions at? Oh, by the way, 1 hour remaining. There have been 0 donations. 0. We have 1 hour to go. We are $50 away from extending to 4 hours. Do you have a Buc-ee's near you? Or Wawa or 7-Eleven? Well, of course I have a 7-Eleven close to me. I don't know what a Wawa is. Yes, there is a Buc-ee's near me on the freeway. Did you ever see, it's about maybe 15 minutes from here, did you ever see Ric Flair's last match? There is a match that absolutely should not have. Yes, I saw it. The one against, was it Jeff Jarrett, I think, or something? Yeah, I saw it. It was terrible. He spent most of the match on his back. Absolutely horrible. Shouldn't have happened. But, it's amazing what it's amazing what Ric Flair can put himself through for a paycheck because he doesn't know how to save money and never has. Do I remember Biker Mice from Mars? I remember them. I never bought any of the toys. I never watched the show. I do have the Super Nintendo game, though. Brian bought it for me as a gift. See, I remember, Billy. I remember when somebody buys me a gift. I remember who it was and when it was. It's like first month we were in Texas. Brian came and picked us up and took us on a tour of all the retro gaming hot spots in the Austin area. And he took us to Round Rock, and there was a record store there in Round Rock run by this long-haired hippie, and he had a glass case in the front of the store that had NES and SNES carts in it, and Biker Mice from Mars was sitting in there, and I said, "Oh, look, Biker Mice from Mars." And Brian said, "Do you have it?" And I said, "No." And he said, "You do now," and he bought it for me. I remember. Do you like Popeye's chicken? No, I'm not a fan of Popeye's chicken. I'm not a big fan of spicy chicken, and Popeyes and Bojangles a little bit too spicy for my taste. I'm not a hot sauce guy. Eighth, he likes the spicy. He likes the hotness. He puts hot sauce on just about everything that he eats. The boy could pick his teeth with a ghost pepper. He loves hot stuff. He loves the spice. He loves the heat. Not me. He doesn't get that from me. Are you a fan of Chinese food? Well, what the U.S. considers Chinese food, yes. Yes. That being said, since we moved here, we have not found a decent Chinese restaurant. There is one down, a few miles from us, next to the Walmart in Belton, but it sucks. It sucks. And it smells of bad fish because they have a seafood buffet, including a sushi bar. So you walk in there, and it smells like prostitute in there. I'm just going to say it. So, not that I've ever hired a prostitute, but it smells like what I would imagine a prostitute smells like. Have you had Panda Express? Yes. That being said, my favorite Chinese dish is pepper steak, and their version of pepper steak doesn't taste like pepper steak. There has been recent hate towards Burger King that I don't understand. I had a Whopper and chicken fries and it was all right. Do you think Burger King changed their recipe or something? Well, they've changed their fries multiple times. I think the version of their fries now is the best fries they've ever had, but there was a period where their Whoppers tasted different, and I can't really put it into words, but the Whopper didn't taste the same. And I think that's what people are getting irritated by. That and just a general drop in quality. Like, the town that I moved here from, you had a 50-50 shot on whether our local Burger King was even open, because every time you turned around, something was breaking in there, and they would shut the whole restaurant down. Like there'd be a pipe break, or their grill would just die on them and not be working. And so there's always something going on that would just cause that restaurant to be closed. Do you remember Captain Planet? Of course I remember Captain Planet. I didn't watch Captain Planet. I watched the first episode of it, thought it was dumb as hell, and never watched it again. I never was a fan of any of a cartoon show that tried to teach a message. You know, where the whole, I'm not talking about like with G.I. Joe, you know, and now you know, and knowing is half the battle. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where the whole show was the message. Never a fan. Didn't like it. And so, you know, once I'd watched one episode of that and realized what it wasn't for me. And I never went back. Plus, by the time it came out, I was getting to where I didn't watch cartoons that much anyway, aside from, you know, eventually, Ren and Stimpy and Beavis and Butthead and Batman the Animated Series. And, of course, you know, all the R-rated anime that I could get my hands on. The more violent, the better. That Burger King might be haunted. No, I just think it sucked. I think they rushed the construction on it and paid the price. Paid the price. Keep on asking questions, guys. I see 21 people in here. That's enough to be asking questions. Ask away. Because you've only got 53 minutes left. Since it's, you know, nobody has donated. I see. Is that how it's going to be then? Is that really how it's going to be? And the thing that really gets me about the whole thing with Alex's knee is if I hadn't bought that arcade cabinet, I'd have the $3,500 to pay for her surgery now. And she wouldn't have to wait until next March. So I'm carrying some guilt around about that one. And it's not like she's limping around. She's not even in any pain. She just doesn't put weight on it. But still, $3,500, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and I don't have a way to save that, so I'm just going to keep her as comfortable as possible and try to prevent as much of her putting any overexertion on the other hind leg that she has until I have my my bonus next year. I put it on a credit card, but I don't have a credit card with that kind of a balance on it anymore. So I've been trying to eliminate my credit cards. You versus Psycho Dad. Is he still alive? In a real life fight, who would win and what would you say and do? I'm too old to be getting into fist fights anymore. I'd probably just shoot him. Take out his kneecap. You know, nothing lethal. Just defend myself. You know, I thought I could take the 7th level, and instead I took a bullet in the knee. You know. I didn't even know he was still alive. I thought he passed away. I don't keep up with the McJugger Nuggets lore, so to speak. I know Boogie. I don't know Jesse. Never met him. Never interacted with him. Boogie's a different story. Boogie, I know. In December, it'll be the first time in 2 years that I've gotten to troll him. Oh, how he has given me so much fodder for that. Oh, it's going to be fun. I'm coming for you, you fat jackass. Thoughts on Deus Ex: The Conspiracy? I don't even know if I've played that particular one or not. I kind of get my Deus Exes mixed up nowadays. The last one I played was that last one that was released for the PS4. I don't remember which one that was. The Human whatever. Never been all that big on that series. That's what it sounds like when you snap all 4 of your fingers. Getting some pain in my back there. Thoughts on Knack 1 and 2? They're very lackluster. I was not, I was marginally impressed at the time with the tech that went into him as a character. But as far as the gameplay and the story and the voice acting especially, I was not a fan. Not a fan. $45 minutes left, folks. 45 minutes left. $50 short of extending by an hour. Once again, it doesn't look like it's going to happen tonight. Oh. Yes. Look at this. It's 45 minutes from being 9 p.m. and it's still light outside. You can still see the sun coming in over the curtain and through the little window in the front door there. Summertime. Will Smith, summertime. Have you heard Will Smith's new song? Oh my God, it's garbage. Not that I was ever a big fan of him to begin with, but this new one. I like the pretty girls or whatever. You know what that sounds like to me, Will Smith? That sounds like compensation. It sounds like you're trying to hide something, Will Smith. Like, taking it up the butt from Diddy or something. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like you hiding something. 45 minutes left and 0 donations. That's surprising. Usually you get something. I know, right? But Dark Star ain't here. Rain's not here. Living Legend's not here. Max 88's not here. High Five for Life is here but hasn't donated anything. Yes, Will Smith has a new song. It debuted this week. And it's something about I like the pretty girls or something, and it's terrible. It's terrible. And it just sounds like he's trying to convince everybody. Y'all have so far donated $355 towards Eighth Table. We got 645 to go. And that's amazing. And I thank y'all. But y'all ain't helped tonight. And it's been 2 weeks since I've been here. It's been 2 weeks. Y'all have had time to recoup financially. 7th, did you listen to Lil Wayne Carter? No. I'm very selective about the hip-hop or the rap that I listen to. And Lil Wayne ain't one of them. I'm kind of old school. I mean, yeah, I like some of Eminem's stuff. But, you know, I'm Run DMC and Beastie Boys and UTFO and the Boogie Boys and stuff like that. 2 Live Crew. A little bit. Fat Boys. Ice Cube. America's Most Wanted. You know, NWA. That horror rap group, Grave Diggers or whatever they were called. I liked them. My favorite rap album of all time is Beastie Boys' Ill Communication. That's my favorite rap album of all time. And it's not because of Sabotage either. I was not that big of a fan of the song Sabotage. I preferred... my favorite song on that album is Sure Shot. I love Sure Shot. Sure Shot is a great album for testing your bass too. If you've bought a new subwoofer or whatnot and you're wanting to test it, Sure Shot's a great song for testing the bass. Guns N' Roses, I liked their debut album, and that was it. Never liked anything else they ever did. Just their debut album. Appetite for Destruction. And even then, there's only a couple of songs on it that I like. Of course, I like Sweet Child of Mine. And Welcome to the Jungle, of course I like that one. And I like Mr. Brownstone, which is my favorite Guns N' Roses song. The main issue with Guns N' Roses is that Axl Rose really can't sing. He really can't. You know, you didn't listen to that album because of how great his vocals were, and you certainly don't listen to him now for that reason. Slash is a good guitarist, you know, for what he does. You know, there's a lot of people from his generation that smoke the crap out of him, but he was good for what he does. But Axl Rose? No. I'm so unimpressed with Axl Rose's vocals from back then, much less his vocals now, that I don't put him on any higher of a caliber than the lead singer for Britney Fox. And those of you of my age know exactly what I'm talking about. Why am I wah-wah-wahing the Phantom of the Opera? I don't even like that musical. I don't like much of any musicals aside from Mary Poppins, Charlie and the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. That's about it, really. That's about it. Although technically, South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut is a musical, technically. Man, Joker 2 was god awful though, wasn't it? Holy crap, that movie was terrible. Talk about killing all the positive love. That really felt like they. That really felt like that the director and Joaquin Phoenix resented the fact that the first one was such a financial success and decided, yeah, we didn't like the fan base the first one drew, so we're just going to piss them off. That's what it felt like they did. No, I've never liked Red Hot Chili Peppers. There was a girl that I was sweet on in my younger years who was a big fan of Red Hot Chili Peppers. She always tell me that she'd give anything to lick the sweat off of Anthony Kiedis' back. And I was like, okay. Yeah, you don't know where that back's been, honey. But I never liked him. I never cared for his vocals, and because his vocals was almost like a protracted form of rap, where his singing was almost a percussive instrument on its own. He was always singing on the beat. Give it away, give it away, give it away. He used his voice like it was another set of drums. And I mean, that's all right for some things. I mean, you hear that a lot in rap, but I didn't care for it. It was, it wasn't punk and it wasn't metal, and it was just kind of, bluesy and almost had like a jazzy influence to some of it in some ways, and I just didn't care for it. Didn't care for it. There was even some reggae influence in there, and because he would almost drop into a sort of a reggae style in some of his vocals, like that song they did to the Under the Bridge. He'd take me to the place I love. Yeah, he was tapping into a reggae vibe with that. But then you hear him talk in real life, and there's none of that to his voice and to his accent or anything else. I guess he was kind of like Snow in that regard. But that made him kind of feel fake to me. So, but then again, I don't. I have a redneck accent. I don't sound anything like what I sound like when I sing either. So, any female-led rock bands that you like? Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Joan Jett. My favorite Joan Jett song, Fake Friends. You got nothing to lose. You don't lose when you lose fake friends. Where's them questions at? Y'all stopped asking questions again. Come on now. Y'all are the only thing that keeps us from being boring. It certainly ain't me. It's y'all. It's y'all. Y'all create your own entertainment by asking me stuff. That's how it works. Let's go, go, go. We still got 35 minutes. 35 minutes. Y'all going to be breaking the streak. This is going to be the first one First stream in like what 3 or 4 where I haven't made it to at least a 4-hour stream. Y'all about to break the streak. Anyway, I saw How to Train Your Dragon, and it's pretty much just the same movie you already saw, almost shot for shot. I mean, they did a little bit more character development as far as like Hiccup and his dad and whatnot. So you get to know those characters a little bit more, but at the cost of some of the side characters not getting to know them as much. But pretty much everything else is just a shot for shot remake of the original film. So I mean, if you liked the original film, you will like the live action version, but I don't really see where it justified its existence, simply because of the fact that it stays so true to the original. But I would rather have it be that way than be like, for example, Snow White and totally crapping all over the original film. If you're going to do a live action remake of an animated film, How to Train Your Dragon is pretty much the way it should be done. Do you remember the line, champagne for my real friends, real pain to my fake friends? Not off the top of my head, no, but I'm 50 years old. Are you a candy guy? No, I'm a type 2 diabetes guy. When I could eat candy, my candy of choice was just a plain, regular old Hershey bar. Hershey's chocolate bar. 7th was early TNA like WCW 2.0. It wasn't even close to that quality, no. Not even close. Oh, my back. Losing friends. Losing friends. You got nothing to lose. You don't lose when you lose fake friends. Fake friends. And it kind of sucked because the theater that we typically go to go see a movie is a theater called The Grand. And we go there because kind of like the Alamo, you can get actual food there instead of just, popcorn and cinema hot dogs and nachos. You can get like hamburgers and stuff like that. And so we like to go there so we can get an actual meal while we're watching the movie. But we went this time, and we've always gone to the earliest matinee to get the cheapest tickets and for it to not be crowded. And they're like, "Oh, we don't open the kitchen that early anymore. They don't even open and start taking orders till 11 o'clock." I was like, "Why did we come here then?" Always changing something, man. Always taking away something. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Will there be a game to make you buy a Switch 2, or is that ship sailed? Maybe next year, but it'll be 8th that wants it more than me. Now, I can count on one hand the amount of times I've played the original Switch, because it just doesn't appeal to me. It just doesn't do the job for me, fellas. And so, without a an integrated achievement and trophy system, I just don't have any interest in it. Have you heard the Macho Man Randy Savage album? I used to have the Macho Man Randy Savage album. I bought it at a gas station in Tampa. In fact, I bought it at the same gas station where I made fun of Randy Savage's new album, and he told me to go F myself and drove off. And his album was there on the counter, and I bought it. Not the same day, but I did buy it. I don't have it anymore, though. I lost a lot of those CDs years and years ago. It's actually not that bad an album, to be honest with you. I mean, if nothing else, he had a good producer that knew what they were doing. It's not that bad an album. It doesn't do anything that would have made him, a breakout hip hop star, but for what it was, it's not a bad album. It'll make you tap your foot. All right, we're down to the last 30 minutes, and there's still been 0 donations. Et tu, Brute? Where did I go wrong? What have I done? What did I say? That's it. In the end, you're not hurting me. You're hurting yourselves, because you're not getting the Game Room Tour until that table is here and installed. It's just not happening. Is there an argument for being an early adopter to a product? Only when it's something that you know is going to have manufactured rarity, and you're buying it strictly from a collector's point of view. And even then, I have moral concerns about that, because I don't believe in manufactured rarity. But, just depends on how bad you want it, I guess. Thoughts on Janis Joplin? Take her or leave her, really. Doesn't really do anything for me. Certainly no Dolly Parton, I'll say that much. Oh, Dolly Parton is a national treasure. And those of us who are from Tennessee, grew up in Tennessee, take a lot of pride and almost ownership in her. And, she's ours. Y'all can have all of the weird lefty hippies and all that. Dolly Parton is ours. Incredibly talented woman. Incredibly talented. Now that her husband has passed away, though, she's probably not going to be around much longer. Because in my experience, when you have a couple that's been together that long and one passes away, the other one usually gets to missing them too much and just gives up on life and goes right after them. Of course, she's a very independent, fiery woman, so that might not be the case with her. She might live for another 10 years. Who knows? Thought on the new PlayStation handheld, don't give a crap about it. Saw a Switch 2 review. They basically said it's great for playing upscale Switch 1 games. Wow, great, super. Can't wait. $450 for that. Can't wait. Of course, I can't say anything. I bought a PS5 Pro at launch. Hell, I bought 2 of them, one for me and one for 8th. And the main reason to have it was to have better performing regular PS5 games. Yep. Yep. Dun, 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 dun. Happy belated Father's Day. Yeah, happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. Didn't get nothing. Not a thing. Got to see a movie and I had to pay for it myself. Nothing blown up yet. I was just checking the news, see if anything had blown up yet. That was the political portion of the stream. Which actor is your favorite Bond? Probably Pierce Brosnan. He had to work after GoldenEye. He had to work with some stupid scripts, but man, GoldenEye is dang near perfect. My store is shutting down, so I might be out of a job. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that. I wouldn't wait though. I'd be updating my Indeed and getting my resume up to date and whatnot, and get out there and start hoofing. Don't wait for, don't update your resume and wait for them to call you back. Get out there and campaign, man. Get to know the people. Get a foot in. Network, 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 baby. It's the name of the game. Yep. That being said, I haven't had to hunt for a job in 13 years, so. Trump dropped 3 bunker busters an hour ago. I hadn't heard anything about that. Nothing about it on my Twitter feed. Oh, I guess he did. Oh, well. It's World War III time, fellas. Smoke if you got 'em. Well, I'll watch the news when this is over. And it looks like it's going to be over in about 20 minutes because nobody's donating to me. You could at least donate enough for me to order a pizza. I'm kidding. I shouldn't be eating pizza. I'm down 25 pounds. I shouldn't be eating pizza. Sure would be good, though. But I shouldn't be doing it. Not when I've actually, accomplished losing some weight. I shouldn't be eating pizza. Man, I could really go for some New York style, though. But I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that. Especially when we only had 20 minutes left to go and there's been 0 donations. No, I have not tried Expedition 33 yet because it's still up in 8th room. It's still up in 8th room. Do you remember this movie where a teenager vowed to camp out on his crush's front lawn until she went out with him? They used to show it at my high school on movie day. Are you talking about Say Anything? With John Cusack, where he stands out on her driveway and holds up the boom box? Because that's the only one I can think of that matches that description in any way. But that wasn't like camping out on her front yard. That was just standing in her driveway playing a song on a boombox over his head. So If that ain't it, I don't know what you're talking about. I wonder why he only dropped 3 bombs when he had 6 bombers fly out there and each one holds 2 bombs. So that means that one flew over and dropped 2, and then another one flew over and only dropped 1 of its 2. Or did 3 fly over and just drop 1 apiece? I don't know, because I ain't been watching the news. I've been talking to you guys for almost 3 hours with 0 donations. I'm not even up on the world news. Everybody getting quiet now. Nobody got nothing to say now? That was going to leave me hanging high and dry? I guess so. I guess so. No love for the 7th. Hate to see it. Hate to see it. You know what it is? Somebody mentioned, oh, Trump dropped the bomb 2 hours, an hour ago, and so now everyone's rushed and left to go check their feed. I got no replies from anybody. Well, does this mean war with Iran? What are they going to go to war with that's left? All their planes are destroyed. Their navy's destroyed. They're almost out of missiles. What's left for them to go to war with? Anyway, again, this is not a political stream, so... My favorite Jim Carrey movie, probably Dumb and Dumber or Liar Liar. Is there any good reason to keep Over the Edge 99 going after Owen's fall? I personally believe they should have stopped. Didn't we already cover that topic a couple of weeks ago? No. They shouldn't have kept it going. It should have been shut down. You're getting transferred to a different store. Well, hopefully that store does better than the one that's going out of business. Hopefully it's not having the same problems your current store has. Hopefully. 15 minutes, folks. We're down to the last 15 minutes. 0 donations. Get your questions in now. I love that Trump, again, not a political stream, but I love that Trump was like, I'm going to give them 2 weeks to change their mind. And the next day, oh, Lord, he is something to watch, I tell you. Have you watched The In-Betweeners? It's a UK comedy TV show. No, I haven't watched that one. Yeah, I'm not that big on UK comedies. I like Red Dwarf. I liked IT Crowd. I liked Black's Books, I think it was called. I liked it. Uh, I vaguely remember liking The Young Ones when I was a teenager, but I was more of a Red Dwarf guy. I liked the original uh, Hitchhiker's Guide miniseries, and that's about it. So I don't know. I've never watched The Inbetweener, so I don't know if it'd be something that appealed to me or not. The store wasn't making enough money and was tired of fighting with the landlord. Oh, I wouldn't cry, Chris. Y'all just ain't going to get your game room tour. Because it's not happening until that room is done. Because I don't want to have to make multiple game room tours in 1 year. The Inbetweeners only had 2 seasons. I saw some of it, not all of it. Well, it's probably on BritBox. So, I could try to look it up on BritBox and watch it and see what's up with it. There's been other ones that I've tried. Like I tried to watch The British Empire because it has Chris Berry or whatever in it, but I didn't like it. It's their version of American Pie humor, and it's pretty degenerate. Okay, I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go. See what it's like. I had somebody tell me to try that show Little Britain or whatever it's called, and I didn't like it at all. Not one shred, not one little bit. Is there a demo that stuck out to you and made you want the real game? Dude, I couldn't even tell you the last time I downloaded a demo. Couldn't even tell you. I want to say that there was a demo for one of the Uncharted games, but I could be misremembering that. I mean, that was a long time ago now. 12 minutes to go, folks. 12 minutes to go. Everybody holding on to their donation money in case they have to buy bottles of water, toilet paper, and batteries. Have you ever met any crazy people, like people you thought you knew but turned out to be serial killers or something? No. I've never met someone online and thought they were normal and then went to meet them and they were like, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That's never happened. Do you remember demo discs? Well, yeah, I remember demo discs being included in magazines back in the day. And you could buy a magazine and come with a demo disc that had several demos on it, or you could try out different games. I remember that. Do I think they should be brought back? No. Just have, demos digitally, because having them on demo discs is just a waste of plastic. They either get thrown away or they become collector's items because everybody else threw them away. Yeah, exactly, Vengeful Cowboy. He said, psych. I'm going to give you at least 2 weeks to think about it. Not! The man might be completely insane, but he's certainly entertaining to watch. Did you play the demo that had Kula World on it? I doubt it because I don't even know what that was. Your boss was fired for stealing time. That can happen, man. That can happen. You know, don't try to manipulate like that, thinking nobody's going to see you. That crap that shit. That crap Richard Pryor pulled in Superman 3, you know, that can't happen in real life, man. They will catch you. They will catch you. And if you're manipulating timesheets, stealing time that you're not working, you will get caught eventually. I see it happen to other idiots all the time. Wait a minute. Oh, magic powers. Man, that one had some force behind it. The same people that made the Netflix Devil May Cry and Castlevania shows have bought the rights to Duke Nukem. Do you think a Duke Nukem show could be good? It could be. If you made it kind of like a hard R rated The Tick, but it's Duke Nukem, then it would be fun. Do you remember the Jersey Devil game? Yes. I don't remember an urban legend game. I remember the Jersey Devil urban legend, and I remember the Jersey Devil game separately, if that's what you meant. It's a puzzle game where you controlled a beach ball. Yeah, I don't think I ever played that. He was sleeping on the job. I think the worst case of it that I ever saw was we had at a company I worked for, there was two guys that worked the midnight shift, and the only day that they had in common was Wednesdays. That was the only day that they both worked. So one of them would work Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the other one worked Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And so they devised a little deal between themselves where they would take turns not showing up on Wednesday, but the one that did show up would sign the other one in and sign them out when they left for their shift. And they got away with that for a good while until somebody got suspicious, and they had done that all that time with no clue that there was a security camera right behind their desks and had filmed them for months pulling that little scam. And they both got fired. Both sent packing at the same time. And so then we had nobody working third shift. Guess who they came to? And what was supposed to be a temporary 6-month thing until they could hire more third shift people became me being third shift for almost 3 years. And that's what destroyed my health. That's when I started gaining a bunch of weight, and you saw me gaining a bunch of weight on YouTube. That was what set it all off, is when I got put on third shift for 3 years. It destroyed my metabolism, and I've never fully recovered from it. Anyway, you have 5 minutes left. 5 minutes left, 0 donations. None. $50 away from extending by an hour. If 10 of you had sent me $5, we wouldn't have this conversation right now. If 5 of you had sent me $10, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. If 3 of you had sent me $20, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. They only got fired. Yeah, they didn't like, take them to court over the additional pay or anything like that. They just fired them. They could have prosecuted, but they didn't. They just fired them. My company is not overly litigious. They don't go after that kind of thing. Do you remember Toonami? Of course I remember Toonami. Of course I remember it. I didn't watch it all that much because, it didn't really have a whole lot in the way of anime that I cared anything about aside from Bo, because I thought that was funny. I already had like way gorier and serious anime on DVD and VHS and whatnot when Toonami was big. I already had it outdone between VHS and DVD. Did you play those Duke Nukem games I mentioned above? Duke Nukem Time to Kill or Land of the Day? No, I didn't play either one of those. I just played the original. I played Duke Nukem 3D and I played the 2D platformers on PC. That was it. Just wanted you to know that Last Magic Powers was loud and clear, 7th. Well, I'm not exactly surprised by that. I mean, that's why it's magic. Lifted me about a quarter of an inch off the seat, too. My feet just went... 4 minutes left, folks. 4 minutes left. No donations. Y'all don't love me no more. And let's be honest, guys. Max88, Richard, they're just two people. They can't be bailing y'all out every week. They got bills to pay too, Ain't nobody else stepping up. How much money do I have to donate for you to watch every season of The Walking Dead? $100, and it does not count towards a 6-hour stream. I'll watch all of it for $100. The original show, not this Fear the Walking Dead crap or any of the movies they've made. Just the original show. $100. Best deal you're going to get from me. 3 minutes left. That's how much I dislike that show. Wah. Oh, wah, 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 wah. 2 minutes left. It ain't gonna happen tonight. I think everybody's just got too much of the world on their mind right now. You'll donate $100 next paycheck. Okay, I'll be awaiting that with bated breath, sir. Now, I don't have to watch season 1 because I already watched that. And I only have to watch half of season 2 because I made it through half of season 2 already. That's where I stopped. Ugh. 1 minute left. Wow. Wow. That's the way it goes, I guess. What you talking about? You get 3 hours of free entertainment as it is. 3 whole hours of free entertainment. I already work 60 plus hours a week as it is. I give you anything more than 3 hours, I got to get paid for it. And that's just the way it goes. Season 1 was okay. It was starting with season 2 is when I didn't like it. And that being said, it is 9 o'clock. Nobody donated nothing. First time that's happened in a good long while. Y'all don't love me no more. But that's all right, because I will be back again anyway. So be thinking about what y'all want to ask me while y'all don't get your game room tour video. And just remember what you want to ask me next week. Same seventh time, same seventh channel.